God's heart is people. We have an opportunity to impact the people of Africa. I want you to listen for the next few moments for the details about the opportunity that you're going to have to respond to what God has challenged us with.
We became acquainted with Joshua back in the early 1980s. He was actually one of the first converts of our missionaries, Herminia Carroll and Clara Webb, who went there and began their work in Liberia. We became aware of the need for medical help in the villages, particularly when Pat heard Joshua's story of a woman who died in childbirth while she was en route from the village of Adansi into Takoradi, about 20-25 miles. And he was on the way there to minister, saw them on the way walking to get her to the hospital. And while he was there, she actually died in his presence. And he was overwhelmed with the need to assist these people in the villages with some sort of medical assistance. The idea for a medical clinic just really took off. And so we came home with that vision in our heart and began to tell people here about the need.
The first clinic came about by Life Church getting involved in a village named Adansi. There was a building there. We refurbished it and began to supply it with medical supplies and actually paid for it to be staffed. Later, there was a construction of the building that we will visit in October. And over time, the government has stepped in to help, and they now provide the staff for both clinics. 2005, we worked on one of the medical clinics, and we saw the lack of supplies. Literally, they didn't have aspirin, they didn't have bandages. I knew that we needed one person that would take the lead, and I knew that our church would respond.
My name is Tina Cooper. I'm an RN. I've been a nurse for 8 years, and being a nurse, I've had the opportunity to pray with families and patients before they go to surgery. But I always knew there was something else God wanted me to do with it. I was approached by Sister Pat Braswell's family and asked to help with her the last week of her life in their home. And the night that she passed, I had such a awesome feeling of being able to honor such a wonderful woman. And at that night, I told the Lord, if this is the reason why I was supposed to go to nursing school, then it was so worth it. 3 days later, the morning of Sister Pat's funeral, Joshua Holder was talking to me about medical ministry needs in Africa, and I asked him if he could use a nurse, and he said yes. He said, and bring warming medicine. Our babies are dying. I just felt like that was it, and ever since that conversation, the Lord has just put things in place.
My name is Keith Buckley. I'm a registered nurse anesthetist, and we provide anesthesia for patients having surgery. I was first notified by Tina Cooper about an initial meeting for a mission trip to Ghana. I knew I was just going to this meeting to see what I could do to help. But as soon as I walked through the church door, the Holy Spirit said, you know you're going on this trip. So I go to the meeting, and then listening to Pastor Holder with his need and how all of this initiated, I knew that I was going to go, which led me to a little bigger problem because I work for such a large group. It's very difficult for me to get time off, and we have to ask for vacation requests a year in advance. When I got to the meeting, I found out the mission trip was scheduled for the second week of October. 6 months before I even knew about this mission, and a year before we would even go, I asked off for the second week of October, which is the week we will be making the trip. Some people say it's coincidence. I say it's intervention, and I believe that God can make the impossible possible.
People may want to know how they can help. They could be a prayer warrior and help support us make sure that we make the right decisions. They could help us pack boxes. They could collect items or may know someone that would like to donate. They could help us fund the trip financially. They may even be one of the people that need to go on this trip.
Hey, we can do this. Let's have a Caleb spirit about this. And let's never forget this. We are better together.